Hello everybody, I'm Giuseppe Basili, also known as the FibStalker. Thanks for joining this intraday review. This video is part of the FibStalker Asian trading service. Today is April 24th, 2018, and it's 15 minutes to 1 p.m. EST time here in Toronto. It's Tuesday, and the market and the moves are ongoing. So before we get into that, I want you to read and accept the usual disclaimer here. If you're not done that yet, please pause the video here and watch and accept the disclaimer. All right, so let's look at some of these moves here. I'll look at some select market first, then we're going to review the majors, and then that we are not reviewed yet, and then other markets as well. So what you see here is the Australian dollar, US dollar. Remember, this market came to trade in a sequence on the daily, which actually we can see here, and there was the highs to lows. We traded the first into the first target, and then the next measure move initially did not trade, and then the market went to trade it with 4+1 rule front run. So that is to be considered traded. The market continued Monday, and actually here we saw the market approaching the first target, but I don't consider that hit. So this market is still moving lower here, and it has actually traded an extension short, or attempt to do so, on the 4-hour time frame. As you can see here, the market respected this area here, and so this gives targets below, and the first target would actually help price into the first target of the larger measure move here. So the point here is now where this market is going to move next. There is a bottom of the range here. There is a potential target 75.10, or of course the market can go and trade the next measured move, but it would take time, as it took before, in order to reverse this market and trade the next measured move. Okay, so I wouldn't think that's the most highly probable case there. The on the weekly here, we saw an important development. We saw the extension short long failing. So bulls are not supporting any longer this price here on top of this 71.90. They did for many weeks here since the beginning of February, number of times here, but that has ended. And of course this market came to the 50%, okay, and is finding a little bit of support there, but I do not believe that in this range this 50% will hold. So I'm looking for 68.50 to trade in this market after the effect of this bounce as wind off. Okay, so now this is a very extended market, so the challenge here is going to be to find our anchor. If it was a notable anchor, classic notable anchor, we would look for a strong retrace, and if that would happen, that would be very welcome, but I'm not sure with this weakness if that's going to happen. So there are other two levels we want to watch: the lows to lows here, and 3-bar rules here, the low of the first of the last 3 bars, long 3 bars. So these are the levels we have to watch. There are a number of levels, and that's because this market has been moving without little structure here for several days. So two levels are 71.80 and 71.50. These are the area to watch in this market. Okay. I want to look at the euro pound here, because this market has traded a 50%. It's not the full 50% retrace that we were looking it's not what we are looking for, but if we would get that, would have been a much safer proposition. And we know that the market traded into the first target of this 90.27 measure move, and the market did not come to trade the next measure move highs to lows, but as you can see, came to trade an inner measure move, which means that this move here is still valid, and the inner measure move, it's from the previous high here to the low that has been printed, that has traded. And notice that the second target of this inner measure move lines up with the second target of the larger daily measure move. Okay, so this is a good indication that the algorithms here might be lining up. Of course, we need to wait and see whether this market is going to continue lower. The the extension here has failed below resistance, below an area of FibStalker level area, and that's a good indication, and that's also the implementation of the FibStalking here, the timing technique. Therefore, this has confirmed, and we could see lower prices here at this point. All right. So next, I want to review very quickly the pound versus the US dollar here. This market is moving lower on the larger time frame. It's now recovering potentially into the next measure move short, and here is the same as we mentioned before for the New Zealand dollar US dollar, where 5 days of long bars here. What is the anchor? So I'm using at the moment the 140 area. Okay, if the market recovers there, at the same time the dollar index is going to ease up, and then we could get the next measured move. US dollar Swiss franc very, very strong, as traded into and beyond the that second target of the previous measure move. And when we apply rules now, we have to trace the highs to new highs. If we get that kind of retrace, that'll be a very deep retrace here. This market might not give that, and so we're going to use one of these anchors. Very, very strong market. So it has been trading very technically, since basically mid of February here, with three beautiful, with a sequence of three beautiful traditional measure moves. But that's and we need to see whether that technical behavior has finished, or we're gonna get more of it. This market had this 50% long, and it's in a range, so it's not impossible to reach the upper the top of this range here. And so far this market has been very technical. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, I was looking for a short in this market, and but I was also looking at the strength of the US dollar, Canadian dollar as well. Nevertheless, this market fooled me, and continued. There was a bounce, and then it's now continuing lower. We know that the sequence of measured move of in this market has failed, and you remember that, and this is the most important development we have to keep in mind. So the what we look at here, what we're looking here is basically now the 50% from lows to highs, and that definitely an area where this market could actually get a bounce. And also, I know some of you are short, from the highs here after the trend broke. It broke not below a 50% short, so although it was an indication at the end of the trend, we have to be careful, but there was a good trade into the second target, and now this market could continue lower into 90.78. The pound versus Canadian dollar, on the other hand, it's actually reversing course here. This market has also failed the extension here, and it's actually rallying, possibly on a smaller time frame here. We will see whether this market can come and offer a better entry here for shorts, because the full trend higher has failed. Okay, so we're gonna see what happens here, and I'm going to update the highs to lows here. Okay, and as you can see, you know, the 50% you know, could be tested here on this rally. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, strength of the US dollar, Japanese yen here, but this market seems to be slowing down here, and potentially has traded the 50% short. So let's look first of all. This was a 50% to first and second target. Then we had the the next measured move here trading, and the next measured move failed. So this brought price into the first and second target. The next measured move failed, and when we look at this market, we can see that the market didn't make it into the 50% short. Okay, nevertheless, the sequence of measured move here is a break, because when we trace the next measured move here from highs to new highs here, then what happens is that this has failed. This level here has failed, which suggests that the sequence is actually ended, and now we can see the 50% short being traded here in this market. Okay, so this could be an opportunity for a short, because this wall move higher has ended basically. Okay, next, the Swiss franc versus Japanese yen here. This market is in a big range, and it's kind of behaving the same way here. You remember that you know, when we looked at this market, the 50% here has traded. The market never came into the first target. The 50% short came into play, and therefore this market has unfinished business here and has the potential to retest the 108.64. So this this is a short as well, a potential continuation lower into 108.64. And the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, I was looking for a short in this market. However, the strength in the US dollar, Japanese yen, and the weakness in the Japanese yen did not allow this market to move lower much here, and despite, you know, a very weak New Zealand dollar. Right, so let's look at the SP 500 and the dollar index here. So the SP 500 is basically now piercing that area, and it seems that bears are still in control here. So the in the FibStalker sideways pattern here, the shorts have traded. This market has found some sort of participation on 2670 in the last 2 days, and today is giving it up. So it looks like, especially if we break again the 2638, the bottom of the range here is in sight. Okay, now also remember that in this market we have a very long term trace that we have not tested yet, and as you can see here, the first target of this measure move, kind of the measure move here of the sideways pattern, kind of helps price into that level, which would be this level here. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this level on the chart here, and you know, this is a significant area of support. It's the weekly and monthly FibStalker participation area, and we're gonna see whether this market is going to continue lower. The dollar index had a big rally up, and it's now kind of resting here a little bit. As you can see, the selling here is very contained and limited. So of course this market can go and retest the bottom of this area here. Now when we look at the sequence of measure move, we have an obvious notable anchor here, but that would be a very deep retrace, and you know, we could use the high of the first of 3 long bars here, and that would be a better area here to consider for a retracement, and that area would also line up with previous highs here. So that could be the level that is gonna you know, is gonna reverse this price potentially. And as you can see, this extension, the first target of this extension also lines up with the first target of the larger measure move. Okay, so as you can see here, that's the first target of both the outer measure move and the inner measure move here that we are looking for in the test. Okay, gold and silver, of course, they were battered in the last few days. We are seeing that little recovery in this market as well, but gold is likely, if the strength in the dollar index continues, to retest the 1310. And silver, that had a run up last week, basically has recovered back to previous levels here, and it has the potential to continue lower if the dollar index continues higher. Okay, so that break here would be an outlier, and we would still consider algos attached to the 16-17 level here, with a potential of bringing this price lower into the 1583. Okay, that's the same level we had before. I just removed it because of the break last week, but that's you know, that's a bull trap actually, and the market came back down to trade within the same range. Okay, you saw Canadian dollar is now trading the 50% short. Very strong market. You might take a little bit to reverse this market, but this is and there is very little structure here. At the beginning, the market has traded the 50% long, and then no more structure. So we're going to use for confirmation, we're going to use this large level here, unless you want to go down on the smaller time frame, and you can use other extensions here. And one level you can use is this one, but I will be very cautious in this market, just because of the pace of the move higher. As you can see, this extension on the 4 hour has traded here. It's pushing price higher, so 2804 and 2735. If you want more confirmations, are the two levels to watch. You saw Japanese yen also has been strong here, and this market has traded a 50% at the beginning of April here, and that has brought price into first and now second target. There were inner measure moves, but for the larger trend, we're going to consider the sequence here, and also the extension short here was broken. This is a very important development here. Lows to lows broken, and which means that there is the potential for this market to continue higher. Okay, so the next level I'm going to consider is the high to low here. That's 109.70, and then of course there is the full partial range here from highs to lows. There is a partial range, and for now we're going to look at that 108.09 level. We spoke about New Zealand dollar already, US dollar, Singapore dollar here. This market is retracing much more significantly here compared to what we saw in the dollar index, so it's likely the dollar index to follow here. And in here I'm using an extension long from 131 to 33 here. If this trades, it could actually prop up price into the top of the range here, 133.08. So this could be an opportunity to watch in the coming days before the end of the week. All right. So basically these were the markets I wanted to review. If you have any questions, you can always publish your question in the room, and I'll be happy to answer that. You have a good day, and I'll see you later on. Bye bye now.